Hi, everybody. I am going to be doing something a little different than the usual crafts. You are going to be panning for gold. That means you're using this kind of a plate, which of course doesn't show up. Okay, that has all these different ridges in it. Okay, to look for a few flecks of gold that are in the sand and gravel that is in a bin in your classroom. Okay, and people have been doing that. A lot of people still do this in the hills up in the Sierra Nevada because there is still gold in the California hills, but thousands and thousands of people came to do that during the gold rush. So we're going to learn a little bit about why did they do this? Why did all these people come to California? So, okay, why gold and why California? The gold rush and panning for gold. So gold has been very valuable for thousands of years. Why is it valuable? Because it melts really easily. It's not really strong. Why do people like gold so much? Two main reasons. It's really, really rare. Okay. And it's really shiny, and humans like shiny things. It's beautiful. You can make jewelry out of it. But having it means you have access to a lot of stuff to be able to trade for it. But gold is so rare that if you took a billion bits of stuff, like a billion atoms or a billion, areas this big on Earth, and a billion, that's a really big number. Only 4 of those 1 billion would be made of gold. Most of it would be carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen, maybe some hydrogen thrown in. The other reason is you can't make more gold. All the gold that's on Earth is here. You cannot make it. You can make diamonds in a laboratory because diamonds are just made out of carbon, which is super common. We're mostly made of carbon. Coal is carbon. Oil is carbon. Lots and lots of things are carbon. You can put it in a special laboratory like this thing here, and you can create a diamond. But you can't make gold. Humans tried for thousands of years to make gold using alchemy, which was kind of magic and kind of science, mostly magic. The science parts of alchemy ended up becoming chemistry in our modern times. But for thousands of years, people thought they could turn lead, which is a very heavy metal, into gold. But nope, can't change lead into gold. Lead is lead, gold is gold. That's just how it works. Gold is only made inside exploding stars. You can only make gold or any of the heavy elements. Silver, lead, uranium, all those things can only be made inside of a supernova, which is an exploding star, or when 2 neutron stars collapse into each other, which is super duper uber rare. So gold is rare and very, very hard to make. And gold is super heavy. If you take like a cube, like a dice, okay, or a die, 1 cube. If you had 1 cube of gold and 1 cube of rock, any kind of rock, I can guarantee you that the rock is going to be much lighter than the gold. Gold is super heavy for its size. Okay, gold is an element. It's a pure element. So most of the kinds of stuff that we see in the universe and on the planet Earth are molecules made up of a bunch of different kinds of elements. If you've heard of carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, all of those are pure forms of stuff called elements. But there's very few elements that just exist by themselves. Most things are in combination with other things, but gold can exist all by itself. And it's super heavy and it's super rare. Because gold is really heavy, that's why we can pan for gold. It's so heavy that when you mix up little rocks of gold and little rocks of any other kind and water, the gold ones will fall to the bottom of the water. And so that's what we're going to use these pans for. So this is a periodic table of the elements. All of the elements that we know of are listed on this table. The lightest one is hydrogen. The sun's made of hydrogen. It fuels the sun. And we're mostly made of carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen. And those are pretty light too. They have a weight of they have a weight of 6, 7, and 8. That has to do with how many protons are in the middle of the atom. But anyway, but way down here, you go way down here, all past all these numbers, things you may have heard of like iron or molybdenum, molybdenum, I'm not sure how to say that. Very rare things. Eventually you're going to get to silver, which is called Ag, okay, or argent, which is what silver is in Latin. And right below it, okay, you have gold. Now, doesn't say gold. Actually, it does in tiny letters. It says Au, which stands for aurore, which is gold in Latin. We use a lot of Latin in science. But as you can see, gold is a much higher number. It's a whole lot heavier with 79 protons than the stuff that we tend to be made of, like carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen. Most rocks are going to be made of carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and silicon. That's this one right here. Sand is silicon and oxygen most of the time. Okay, so why California? Why is there so much gold in California? Why isn't there gold in other places? California has this giant fault running through it called the San Andreas Fault. I'm sure you guys have talked about this in STEAM class. It is a big divide where one plate, one of the tectonic plates, the Pacific plate, is going under the North American plate. Okay, so one big plate of land is moving under and it's causing this one to move up. This process is so crazy that it breaks up a little barrier called the lithosphere, where magma, which is lava, which is in the center of the earth, is just full of liquid rock. Some of that rock bubbles up, and floats up and turns into mountains, like the Sierra Nevada mountains. And so it basically, this super hot lava comes up, bubbles to the surface, and then it cools down. And different kinds of elements, different kinds of rock cool down at different times. And so all the gold will suddenly become solid and from liquid all at one time. So it'll occur in these stripes or veins, they're called, throughout the rock. And so you'll find gold, silver, and other elements inside, other valuable things inside the rock that makes up our mountains. One really interesting thing is gold loves quartz. If you've ever seen like a quartz crystal, gold and quartz have very similar rates of cooling. So sometimes you will find veins of gold inside of a quartz rock. So you can see that here. This is actually a sample from a museum in Sacramento. So placer gold. You can go inside of a mountain and work really hard and dig straight into the rock to look for gold. A lot of people did that, but a lot of people did what we're going to do and pan for gold. Instead of digging for it, you let the water and erosion, which I know you learned about in STEAM as well, do the work for you. So the rock of a mountain has slowly been broken up by erosion or weathering. And so all these little rocks eventually tumble down the mountain, get washed down in rain, and then in a stream, they build up on one side of the stream in something that's called a placer or placer. And it's a bunch of little sand and rocks and stuff. And in that mix are little flecks of gold. And so thousands and thousands of people came to get these tiny little flecks of gold. You see, that's somebody's finger. That's how small the things are we're looking for, or even smaller, but they're very, very shiny. So the too long didn't read version of this is gold is really rare and valuable. Gold is much heavier than other rocks, and gold will sink to the bottom fastest when mixed with water. So thousands of people came to California during the gold rush to pan for gold, and here is how. So see if I can get to this video. I don't think we're going to watch the whole thing, but this is a professional gold panner.
Panning. Now it's important
who's going to show us how to do
when you
this.
are
He's got a big bin full of
get the right level of
water
water.
and
So
sand.
what we're going to do first is just bring the material towards the front and drain the water. Then what we're going to do is just very lightly dip it into the water and drain off the top material. Now you want to do this maybe 3, maybe 4 times at most. Once you've done that, then we'll pick up the water again,
Keep
bring it
adding
back,
water.
and bring it to what's known as stratifying. So we just shake it about.
So as you see, he's shaking it about, he's making a slurry, and all the lighter parts of the rock are going to go to the very top.
So you get it, everything flows nice and neatly together.
And you pour
Again,
off
we'll
all
tip
the
off the
light
water,
stuff,
bring it to roughly the second
leaving the
riffle,
heavier stuff.
empty out all of the water, and again, lightly dip. You want all the light stuff on top to float out. Again, 3 or 4 times. We'll pick it up again. A bit more water this time. And stratify it, shake it up a bit. Again,
Pour
dip
it
out
off.
all the water. Dunk it.
So he keeps doing this,
And forward.
and
So
he
we
ends
get
up with
to the
less and
second
less
riffle.
stuff.
Tip out all the water. And just gently bring it down into the water.
And you can look if
And all
you
we
can
want
find
to
any
do
shiny bits.
is to allow all the light material move over. Okay. So then again, we'll bring it back again. We just keep continuing this process until we get down to the very, very small material. Okay, now at this point, what you want to try and do is to pick out any large rocks.
Make sure it's not gold. It's
Just have a
worth
quick
it.
look. Make sure it's not gold. Okay, so in this case, it's a form of shale, so we'll throw that away. Another thing as well you want to try and do is when you pick out any large rocks, is just rinse them in the water here, so you ensure to get any of the potential gold and black sand off it. Okay. So again, we want to get it to the second riffle. Pour everything out.
And then you take a look to see if you can see anything shiny. Okay, so there's some trial and error. I'm hoping some of you may have done this on a field trip or done this when you've gone someplace like up in Felton. There's a place you can go panning for gold, or up in various other places in the mountains. So if any of you have ever done this before, please show everyone else. These are little tiny pans, and you can take a look very closely at the gravel using these little ridges and stuff that helps you wash stuff off. Takes a lot of patience, and the bits, I promise there is some gold in there, but not a lot, and they're very small. So see if you can find some. Good luck.